Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blind World, where we talk all about how God appeared in my life as the roughest moments in my life. I'm your host, Wendy Flores. So, this story is a true story on what happened to me when God released Himself in front of my eyes. This is when I was in elementary. I did not know who was God. I was starting to learn to Him. And this is when I did not know how to speak English. Spanish was my first language as a 3-year-old, 4, 5. That's when I started to speak English. So all these religious sisters were coming in my life, and I kept asking them, like, who are you and why you're single? Like, I kept asking them questions and questions until I realized in middle school, like, yo, me, Wendy, you have been with religious sisters all your life, and you just realized that God was with you all this time, even on the roughest patches. And that's when I knew I was with God, and that's how God released to me. So here's a story of what happened to my life. But it is a good journey with God. I always have been praising Him in everything that I do. I'm Catholic. As a Hispanic, most of you guys might know this, but in the Hispanic world, some of them, not all of them, but some of them do like the old religious things, traditions, like El Día de los Fieles Difuntos, and the other ones. And yeah, so it's quite interesting and fun seeing how these traditions follow into me. A lot of people ask me if I'm gonna still follow those traditions. Absolutely. And people say, when you have kids, are you gonna teach them what you got taught? Absolutely, yes. And hopefully I can do that, and hopefully with their kids they can teach what I taught to them. So yeah, either ways, God is great, and I'm so blessed that I'm here today, and I am very truly blessed. It takes time on things, like a lot of people don't realize, but it takes more time for me to start doing things. Like a lot of people have told me, are you going to be in a relationship? Do you know this? Do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. But I know that someday God is going to tell me if I'm going to be in a relationship or a single person or a religious sister. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I'm not Jesus. Jesus knows what my life is going to be, and I pray for Him that whatever He can put me, I am ready for Him. Over the years, my life hasn't been that great. Not in a bad way, but not in a good way. My life hasn't been that great. In middle school, I got bullied a lot, and I was staying away from God, and it wasn't a good thing, because if something got me, I will give them back. But in this case, I got bullied because of my skin and my disability, and I was Catholic, and that was when I was starting to know my religion by priests and seminarians and deacons. Not so much as now, but back then it was like starting to know my faith, and I was telling them what's right and what's wrong. And then high school came, and that's when I got myself involved with Christ, and that's when I was going to retreats and talks to priests, deacons, seminarians, religious sisters. And yeah, so it got me to a better place right now. And that's how I became more stronger, more, you could say more powerful. But, I'm not perfect. God is the only one who's perfect. But all I can say is that I'm so blessed. I have a wonderful family, wonderful siblings, and I have a roof on top of me, because most people these days don't have a roof on their top or don't have clothes. Or right now, since the weather has not been good, it's been really cold or it gets really hot, people don't know where to go at. And I'm really thankful for that. That's why I don't complain a lot. Or if I complain a lot, or if I complain, I tell myself, like, you have this, you have that. But most people don't have this. Appreciate what you have. And be grateful and give thanks to God that you have that during today. Because when I came to the United States, I came just only the clothes I wore. That is all that happened when I came to the United States. But yeah. And then high school, I think it was my senior year, that's when I started to know more about my religion. I do have friends who are priests, deacons, and seminarians. Great shout out for them, because without them, my life wouldn't be like this in today's world. They are my spiritual guides. They're the people that I go to. They're the people that I write letters for the holidays, or if I can remember their birthdays, I will send them a letter. But mostly I'll send them a card during the holidays, and that's really grateful for what I do. So big shout out for them, and hopefully you guys can follow them, ask them questions, or just talk to them, because that's what they're there for. I really enjoyed talking to them. I started talking to them after my senior year, if I'm not mistaken. No, I take that back. My junior year, I had problems with myself, and I was in a mental breakdown. I usually had anxiety attacks. I was so anxious all the time, especially when it comes to test or homework. And yeah, that's what happened. And that's when I started talking to the priest, open up myself, who am I, and things like that. Hopefully in the future of the podcast, as the podcast keeps growing up, I will open myself with the issues that I've been going through in the healing process and everything that I have been talking to priests, and things have been going great for now. And then my senior year, that's when I kept talking to priests. And the number one thing that happens to me after when I talk to the priest, it's kind of like a confession, but this is what I imagine myself whenever I talk to a priest. I think my imagination is that the priest is like they're imitating Jesus Christ, but Jesus is always perfect. And the priests are human beings. They're human beings. They make mistakes every single day. They're not perfect. But for me, in my imagination, when I speak to a priest, I feel like the archangel that we carry, that is always by our sides, never ever leaves us mentally, spirituality, physically. I think that our angel is present and God is present for me. He is paying attention. He knows what I'm trying to say, but I can't say it because I can't say it because of fearness, because the bad guy is trying to attack me. But no, what I do is that I relax and I talk to him. I loosen myself up to say that the priest tells me, how is your day? How you been? And then that's when he opened up on what am I there for. And we talk for half an hour to an hour or 45 minutes. And towards the end, when I talk to the priest, it's like a relief out of my chest or out of my mind or out of my big thoughts that I just wanted to talk to. But the priests are kind of like my parents. If my parents don't get it, then I directly talk to the priest. But thankfully, I have wonderful parents that guide me with God. And I had friends who guide me with God. And I am baptized. I've done my first communion. And I just done my confirmation. And I'm so thankful and grateful to have the audacity to do those things, because in today's world, some people are not doing that. Others are doing it because people are just getting forced. But I did it because there is number one reason for me. And my testimony is when I became blind, my parents and my friends and the religious brothers and sisters told me that my blindness, it's like carrying a cross. As I said in one of my videos before, that I explained to this a little bit, and this is why I hinted that I was going to have a podcast, not having a podcast, but now I have a podcast. But I'm going to talk more about that topic because some of you guys were DMing me the other day, and they were telling me to talk more about God and how God relieved me and why I'm so happy and cheerful. In each video, here is the true meaning. You guys don't see behind the scenes. I get happy. I try to make myself happy. Fake it till you make it. That's what I always say. A teacher back in elementary used to say that to me. Fake it till you make it. Because if you don't fake it till you make it, then your day is not going to be so good. Your day is going to be really miserable. So that's how I always say to myself, fake it till you make it. Even though I'm not having the greatest day, you just have to go with it. And so the reason why I am so cheerful and I'm happy and I'm grateful and blessed that God is in my life, because there is a scene of the Passion of Christ, of the newer movie, where God is carrying the cross, the heavy wooden cross. I imagine myself. What about me? What about me if I carried that cross? How many times would I have fallen? He fell 3 times, more than 3 times, but the biggest ones were 3 times. I asked myself, how did he carry that heavy cross? Well, what I've known is that God was always with him and the angel was always with him. But here's my other question that I always question, is that why am I doing this to myself? Why did I become blind? Why did I become legally blind? That was the Wendy who would always ask that question in middle school. 11, 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old used to say that to herself. But now I don't ask myself. I say, I accepted who I am, I know who I am, and I will fight to get it done. If people stare at me, I don't bother myself on staring their back. I mind my own business and God is with me. I have to carry my cross every single day. The cane is the cross that I have to carry. I always tell myself, because I've seen the movie Moses, I always tell myself that I look like Moses because Moses carried a cane too when he was in the desert and every other place that he went. So I always tell myself I look like Moses. But Moses did lots of things in his time, and that's what I want to be with someday, is to do lots of things in the community where I'm at. So that's why I always tell myself that the eyes are to carry my cross and to always follow my dreams. And it doesn't matter if I'm legally blind or if I break an arm or if I break one of my legs. I'm still gonna get my dreams up, but in not normal person can do. We can all do the same thing. It's just I have to do it with my other senses that I have. Going back to the topic, as when God has relieved himself. When God relieved himself, it was with a friend that I was being visited with, and that's when he was talking to God, and I was more interested, and that's when he pushed me with my faith to be strong. And that's how I started to talk to more with priests, seminarians, and deacons to get their advice and everything and life. So either way, I can do anything that I want to do, just in different sense that I have to use in myself. Going back to the story of the Passion of Christ, so the scene is where God is holding the wooden cross and was crucified and died for us. And so in that scene, there is a scene that I just imagine myself just carrying my cane every single time. And that's where I put my mind in. I usually do that, but sometimes the bad guy likes to destroy and put other things in my mind, but I ignore it. I tell him, I'm like, bad guy, do not put it in my brain. You are not the powerful guy. The powerful guy is Jesus Christ. You cannot destroy me. You cannot destroy me. Go away, bad guy. And that's what I say to myself every single time when the bad guy wants to temptate and my temptations. I say that and it goes away. Not really quick, but it does go away. Another thing is that my cane is a pair of eyes, but I believe in God 100%. I do believe in him, and hopefully in the future I can educate with other people. Right now what I'm doing is reading the Bible and also reading the catechism books to get to know more about my faith and who is Jesus Christ and what's the back of the history of the Jesus Christ and all the great things. And yes, I do have some prayer books that I pray. And yes, I do pray for you guys, and I pray for myself. I pray for everybody. I pray for the whole world. I even pray for the people who are poor, sick, hunger, and who are in jail too. So I pray for everyone in the world, and I pray for you. And I pray that hopefully this podcast could change your mind, because it did to me when I started to talk to priests about my life and what I went through and what was my past. And right now I'm walking for the future, what the future holds me, and I am so grateful and blessed that Christ is in my life, and not everything goes well. Like recently, 2 people have passed away. After this podcast is uploaded, 2 people have passed away. 1 person passed on my birthday, and that's why I had to release a podcast the next day. So that's why you guys had a podcast the next day. I was supposed to release it on Friday, but I needed to heal. And the healing process, it went kind of smooth. So yeah. So that's why I'm taking time to breathe and to pray. When I healed with God. I do my morning prayers, and then I just go with the day. And then at work, I will say, God, I commend everything in your hands, and please help me through the day. And when I'm done with my 4 to 8 hours of shift, when I'm done, I tell to God, thank you for all the blessings and the day we went through. And then I tell him thank you. And then after that, I just take 5 minutes or 10 minutes with him and talk to him and pray with him, and also pray with our Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary, and to make me heal my heart, my soul, and my mind. And that's how I end the day with my night prayers before I go to bed. I give thanks to what God gave me the whole day, and hopefully by tomorrow is a new day. As I always say to my quote, every day is a new blessing, and I'm really blessed that every day I have been alive. We don't know what's going to happen the next 24 hours, the next 48 hours. We don't know yet. But what we know is that we give thanks to God and what the things we've done, because in today's world, a lot of people die. And we don't know what time or day. We just know that God gives our moments and our chances. And that's how I became Catholic. I know this podcast was short, but thank you for listening to The Blind World episode 2 on how God intercept his world with me in my baddest moments and my good moments. Basically my good moments, not my bad moments. I didn't have any bad moments, but good moments. Thank you for hearing my podcast, Blind World, and I can't wait you guys to hear my next episode on Blind World. Stay tuned for next Friday at 1 o'clock Central Time in this channel. Thank you. Subscribe, comment your feedback on what I should do the next one, and thank you for all your support, my friends. God bless you, and we'll see you next Friday. Peace.